Well, this is something to think about the next time you see a for sale sign in your neighborhood. The current market is forcing more and more people to part with the property they inherited from their parents. Rising costs of renovations, taxes, and utilities, making it harder and harder for adult children to hold onto family real estate after their parents have passed. Also complicating matters, experts say higher home prices and mortgage rates now make it almost impossible for heirs to buy out their siblings. And that makes for a difficult choice. Sellers can hold on to nostalgia and a legacy that their parents meant to leave for them, or make a tough financial call. We do want to welcome in our panel here, author and real estate broker Mark Powell and licensed psychologist Dr. Renee Exelbert. Thank you both for being here. And Mark, we'll start with you. I mean, isn't this one of the major ways that Americans hope to build generational wealth, to be able to pass on your home to your children?
Well, that used to be the way you would build generational wealth, but it's changed a lot, especially with our current economy. What I find is, and I actually deal with a lot of trust sales, is there may be three or four siblings that are going to inherit the property, with one or two of the siblings in some type of financial distress. They may need the cash. So they force the sale on the other siblings. Now, the other siblings might want to get together and purchase this house, but with interest rates at 7%, it makes it almost impossible for them to even qualify for a loan. So they're stuck with a forced sale. Two wanting to sell, two not wanting to sell, but because of financial reasons and the economy and the interest rates, they're just not able to make it happen.
I mean, talk about a fraught family dynamic, Dr. Exelbert. It seems like the economy is forcing some difficult conversations and difficult choices for many American families.
Absolutely. And we're seeing more and more with Gen Z that they simply cannot afford homes. 70% of adult children expect to receive an inheritance from their families, but only 40% of people who are thinking about retiring and will writing, only 40% of them are actually thinking of giving an inheritance. So there's quite a discrepancy. And in terms of actual homes, 70% of homes are actually being sold. And what we're seeing, particularly with young people, is that they'd rather spend the money and get a vacation home, or they'd rather spend the money and pay for their children's braces, right? They're dealing with the cost of student loans and sandwich generation. So things financially are really difficult for them.
You know, and speaking of financial trends, there's another topic I want to get to. The surest new way to secure a date nowadays may be to post your credit score for all to see. This is a woman who's going viral right now for doing exactly that. I mean, that is a pretty nice credit score. She said she originally posted this score just to make her dating profile a little more unique, but then realized that almost every single like she was getting was directed towards that 811, that excellent credit score. So she captioned a video about her experience saying, "That's how I went on 17 dates in 30 days. Goodness gracious, is this a good idea? Can a good credit score make you more attractive? Mark, we'll start with you.
Well, this goes back a long ways. There was a term that says no romance without finance. Somebody who's dating somebody, they're going to want to make sure that that person is stable. Look, nobody wants to date an overgrown teenager. Nobody wants to date someone who can't take care of themselves, who can't support themselves financially. But what I did think about was how many of these FICO scores are going to be altered, you know, with all the ways that they can alter documents, and they're just going to throw up a bunch of fake FICO scores, kind of like the way they morph pictures. You end up at that date and look at the person and go, you don't look like the person that was in the picture.
That's really interesting. I didn't even think of, and this might be, I am too trusting by nature, but I didn't even think of someone posting a credit score that wasn't theirs. The first thing on the date, force them to open their Wells Fargo app and show you their FICO score. I mean, Dr. Exelbert, could age make a huge difference here? I mean, does this matter to people in their 20s? Do they care about the credit scores?
I think that people are certainly looking for financial stability. And one of the things that we know in terms of divorce is that financial obviously plays a huge role. But we don't want to be so provincial in looking at an individual. So many things can cause personal bankruptcy, such as job loss, insurmountable medical bills, a divorce, right? And so all of these things can dramatically change your credit score instantaneously. And you may end up having the same credit score as someone who's a complete spendthrift, right? So this is not something that people should be looking at in one unique provincial factor. Somebody may be financially responsible, but not really treating their partner very well, right? So we don't want to just look at one factor, obviously.
I mean, is there any reason not to put your credit score out there? I mean, is that concerning for any reason, doctor?
I would imagine that you would attract a lot of people looking for something very specific. And I think that when we look at financial characteristics, it almost seems like, what Mark was saying earlier. It used to be that, like, we're talking about people only interested in somebody for finances. Now somebody's only interested in them for their credit score. It seems highly superficial. And although they're looking at responsibility, fiscal responsibility, and that's a good thing, we never want to look at one thing for somebody's entire being. That's very narrow-minded.
Mark, final word to you. If you were writing a dating profile, if you were in that position, what would you lead with?
Okay, first of all, I'm married for 23 years, so I don't want my wife to get any ideas about this. But, first of all, I would want to see if we shared some common interests. But definitely, I would want to know that that person has a means of taking care of themselves and also maybe help in a joint partnership. Marriage is a partnership, after all.
So just show you unloading the dishwasher,
Exactly.
taking care of the litter box,
Yeah.
roof over your head. These are all good things. Mark Powell and Dr. Renee Exelbert, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.